guys, and welcome to episode 2 of this month for 2002 as we jump back in time to discuss the top cartoons of this year. And first off, I didn't do it the last episode because I forgot, but I would like to thank, of course, To the Stars We Return, who, of course, created a lot of the musical elements for everything here at Cavalier Family. I also like to thank, of course, Kevin Holmes and his Holmes business as far as graphic design goes, who's done a lot of motion graphics. Stephen Dawson, who's done the research in the past. Obviously, Kevin, who has done some of the research, and not the Kevin Holmes that has done the graphic design. It's Kevin McLaughlin, who of course has been on the show before. He's actually done some research as well as future research as well. So I wanted to give him a shout out on that. If you're not familiar with the show, of course, we are here every week of every month. And basically the show for each month picks a year, and it's a random year, anywhere between the 40s until last year. And what we do is we discuss the top 5 TV shows, cartoons, movies, and music. Every week is a different category, as it's not always the same. However, last week we did TV shows, and this week we'll do, if you're familiar, we'll be doing cartoons. So let's go ahead, step back in time, or let's just say travel in time to 2002.
Back in time.
All right, so unfortunately, I did the research this month, and it looks like I did forget some honorable mentions for the cartoons wise, as far as the first time airing cartoons in 2002. So my apologies on that. So you guys can hate me for that. Leave all the hatred messages as you want, but don't hit too personal. Don't go below the belt. But this week, of course, is a top first time airing cartoons. The information comes from Wikipedia. I do know I didn't say where the information came from last week, but the information actually came from IMDb as far as the top TV shows go. So let's jump into the top 5 airing cartoons of 2002. The first one was Kim Possible. That was actually on the Disney Channel. It scored 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It ran from 2002 to 2007. 4 seasons, 87 episodes. Creator was Mark McCorkle and Bob Schooley. They were also writers for Sky High, the movie, and also producers on Big Hero 6, the series. The plot is about high school cheerleader and her accident-prone best friend balance their duties as global crime fighters with the typical challenges of adolescence. Starred Christy Carlson Romano, Will Friedle, and Nancy Cartwright as Rufus. Of course, if you know that name, Nancy Cartwright is actually the voice of Bart Simpson in The Simpsons. Some of the honorable mentions on the show, of course, is Tara Strong. Obviously, she's been part of the show before in the past, such as Powerpuff Girls and stuff like that. Patrick Warburton, Gary Cole, and Raven Simone. Neil Patrick Harris actually and John Cena both auditioned for the role of Ron Stoppable. A little fun fact there. Now, I do know that John Cena, though he, of course, applied for the position, he tried out for the position, a lot of people kind of wonder where he would be at if it wasn't for this, because after auditioning for this and not getting it, he actually then went to the WWE. So it's interesting on that notion. At the time for its run and conclusion, Kim Possible was the most watched, highly rated, and most beloved television show on the Disney Channel until Phineas and Ferb came out. I watched it. I haven't seen a live action movie. I heard it wasn't that great. I was kind of hoping that they would build it up to being like a theatrical release, because I figured that'd be kind of cool, a little Disney version of Spy Kids in a way, but possibly a better version, especially if they had the original actors like Christy Carlson Romano, Will Friedle all came back as the characters. That would be awesome. Live action versions of an older adult. So number 2 is Codename Kids Next Door, another cartoon that I actually watched growing up. It scored 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It did run from 2002 to 2008 with 6 seasons, 81 episodes on Cartoon Network. The creator was Tom Warburton. The plot is about the adventures of a group of 10-year-old friends who fight for the right to do everything that adults restrict from them. It starred Ben Diskin, D. Bradley Baker. He was the voice of Daffy from Space Jam, the original Space Jam, not none of this new legacy crap. TV shows American Dad as Klaus and Phineas and Ferb as Perry the Platypus. Lauren Tom, she was Friends. She was on Friends as Julie, and she was also Amy Wong in Futurama. Of course, honorable mention goes to Tara Strong. The name of the fourth grade president, Jimmy McGarfield, is made up of the names of the presidents Jimmy Carter, William McKinley, and James A. Garfield. Characters Mr. Phibb and Mr. Wink are based on James Bond villains Mr. Went and Mr. Kidd from Diamonds Are Forever. It's kind of interesting. I like to see how writers and creators kind of intertwine what they really loved growing up as a kid, whether it be movies or cartoons, and kind of intertwine them into their own movies too. That's always interesting to see. I love seeing that as well. So moving right along, it is The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. It went from 2002 to 2006. It scored 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It did have 3 seasons, 61 episodes on Nickelodeon. It was created by John A. Davis and Steve Oedeker, which was the writer of Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, Bruce Almighty, and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Of course, we actually have spoken about Steve Oedeker before. He's also done things such as Thumb Wars, which is a short little snippet there where it's all based on thumb. A plot is about a young boy who happens to be a boy genius, lives in a small town with his family and friends, and often gets into crazy adventures with them involving the things he invents. Starred Debbie Derryberry, who did the voice of the aliens in Toy Story, Jeffrey Garcia, and Rob Paulsen, Rob Paulsen, of course, did the voices Pinky and Pinky in the Brain, Yakko in the Animaniacs, and then Donatello in 2012 TMNT, and actually the 87 TMNT as Raphael. Some of the honorable mentions, which is a cool honorable mentions, and no, it's not Tara Strong, it's actually Tim Curry did one of the voices as well. Yes, Jimmy Neutron's hair was purposely done as inspiration from Ace Ventura, because, I mean, Steve Oedeker. It was the first Nickelodeon animated series to be computer animated. It was also the first to be based on an existing movie, because apparently Jimmy Neutron, the movie, came out before the TV show. Number 4 was Mucha Lucha. It scored 5.7 out of 10. It had 52 episodes with 3 seasons. It scored 2000. It went from 2002 to 2005 on Kids WB. It was created by Lily Chin and Eddie Mort. The plot was basically the story of 3 masked wrestlers in wrestling school. It starred Carlos Alazarque. He was in Reno 911. Kimberly Brooks, Jason Marsden, which is, of course, from Boy Meets World, in a Goofy movie as Max. He was also Nelson Brookhand in Full House, and Zachary Binks in Hocus Pocus, which Zachary is not spelled with a Z, it's actually Thackeray. It's Thackery. It wasn't until I actually did the research on this where I realized that I was pronouncing it incorrectly, because it's not Zachary, it's Thackeray. First ever all-flash animated series made for American broadcast television. Candy Milo based the voice on the Flea on the inspiration of Cheech Marin. Little thing about the Flash animated series. Didn't really watch it, but, you know, got a lot of praise. Number 5 is Chalk Zone. Now, this scored 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. It had 42 episodes with 2 seasons from 2002 to 2008. It also aired on Nickelodeon. It was created by Bill Burnett. Writer was, which is a writer from Cow and Chicken, and Larry Hubbard, who was producers of Dexter's Laboratory and Centurions in 1986. The plot is the adventures of a boy with a magic chalk stick that enables him to enter the world of chalk drawings and alter its reality at will. It starred Elizabeth Daily. She did the voice of Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls, as well as Babe from Babe Pig in the City. Candy Milo She did the voice of Granny and the bad Space Jam: A New Legacy movie. She also did Coco and Madame Foster in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And then you have Hynden Walsh, who was the voice of Princess Bubblegum in Adventure Time. And then you have the voice of Starfire, as well as Sister Blackfire, and from Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. Honorable mention here is Jim Cummings as Skrull, which you'll know him because he's the voice of Winnie the Pooh and Ray from Princess and the Frog. Rudy Tabooty's father was actually based on the creator Bill Burnett's actual father, who was also a butcher. December 16, 2020, more than half of the year after George Floyd protest, Bill Burnett admitted that perhaps he made an error by casting Hynden Walsh as Perry Sanchez and Nick Futerman for Dr. Veronica Sanchez because they are white voice actors. In quotations, this is what he actually said. He regrets casting them because they are white voice actors instead of Latinx. And if he was back in time making casting decisions again, he would probably be more woke. Which is kind of tough because if the one thing that we know about woke culture in a way, as far as entertainment goes, is a lot of times when things go woke, people aren't looking for wokeness in the movies. Majority of people are looking for a good time because they could care less about the characters unless if you've been living a long time with those characters. That was the top 5 cartoons that premiered in 2002. So if you guys know of any cartoons that you actually watched or enjoyed during that time period, go ahead and leave a comment below. Again, this is the last month that will be showcased on the podcast as far as Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, stuff like that. Because after the month, it will be going bye-bye. The reason being, of course, is because there's not enough downloads, not enough people listening to financially see it as a success. Not only that, but if you'd like to help us out, if that is a way for you to listen and not have to worry about going to YouTube, because the show's not going anywhere, it's maintaining on YouTube. So if you still want to listen to the show, if you still want to watch the show, go to our YouTube, which is Cavalier Family, hit the subscribe button. So then that way you can always be updated with it. And honestly, at this point, that's the best bet, because unless if something drastically changes where it's more than 100 listeners and 100 subscribers on YouTube, then it's only going to be strictly on YouTube, because financially it just doesn't make sense. So unless if something changes between now, by the end of the month, unfortunately, the podcast portion is going away, and you can actually watch this on our YouTube channel directly. So make sure you subscribe, as well as if you want to support us, click the merchandise link down below and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.